Hello everyone, this is Gary Dickson and welcome to our third Facebook Live session. It's really nice to do these. So what I thought this time, what I would do is that I would introduce two of our council candidates. This is Sue Kims and Jeff Pekarik, and they are candidates for the four-year positions. If you maybe remember, last year we had a referendum about increasing the size of the town board back to what it was in 2009. And as a result, both us and our opponents each have three candidates. Last time we had a Facebook Live session, Brendan Najum was here, and he's for the two-year position. So Jeff and Sue are for the four-year. And you know, that whole upsizing referendum was an example of what our team does when we see a problem in West Seneca. Is that we address it. We just don't wait around and say, "Oh my God, it's never going to change. It's not going to happen." No, we think, "What's the good solution?" and then let's make it happen. So that the upsizing referendum for the town council was on the ballot because of us, me and people like us, including people like Dan Warren. Went out, we got the signatures, and we got it on the ballot, and then we campaigned for it, and then on election day we stood outside in the cold and talked to voters and said why we thought the upsizing was good. So when you're voting for our team, you're voting for people who take action for good government in West Seneca. So that's a great lead-in because Jeff Pekarik was a superstar in that upsizing referendum. If it hadn't been for Jeff, it wouldn't have been on the ballot. Other people were important too, but Jeff all by himself got 500 signatures. So that's one of the reasons he's on our team, because he is a really hard worker and dedicated to West Seneca. So I'd like to let Jeff talk a little bit about himself, and then probably we'll go to Sue, and then we'll have any questions that we've received up to now. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Jeff Pekarik. I've lived here for the last 30 years. Born, raised, went to Allen Elementary, West Middle, West Seneca West High School, and then is Buff State where I got my bachelor's in business administration. After completing college, I ended up buying a house here locally, and I've worked in advertising for a short time, but the last 7 years I've been working in the stainless pipe PVF industry, working in both sales and purchasing. And I think my combination of business experience will help me as we look to change our government. I actually did not think I would be running for this position about probably 3 years ago. And then Sheila Megan asked for a raise she did not deserve, and I started paying closer attention to our town government, started to attend meetings, and then when we had the large 12% increase in taxes, I started to attend even more regularly and speak out and get involved here with our Republican committee. And then as Gary said, that ballot referendum to get us on the ballot. It was a long, hot summer, but we did get it on there, and then we campaigned all fall and stood outside and got it passed. When it came down to it after that, started looking around. I was going to be involved in some way with the campaign this year. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be me as a candidate or helping others. And I decided, you know what, I think I've got a lot to contribute. If I get elected, what I'm hoping to do, I think pretty similar to Gary and Sue, I'm hoping to make the government more transparent, more fiscally responsible, and obviously a lot more ethical, because we certainly need all three of those. I don't know if Sue's got any ideas she wants to chime in on.
Well,
I'm going too long.
No, that was perfect.
Talk too much.
But this emphasizes how we are a cohesive team, right? All of us have our strengths, and together we make a really strong team. So, Jeff has his youthful exuberance,
A little bit,
and his incredible work ethic, and then Sue, who we recruited specifically because Sue wasn't sure she wanted to run. In fact, the other side had tried to recruit you, and we said, Sue, you have a depth of knowledge about the inner workings of the town that is almost unrivaled, and your dedication to the residents of the town is just really impressive. So, take it away.
Okay. So my name is Susan Kims. I moved here in 1976 from the Pittsburgh area. My husband took a job with management with Tops Markets, so we moved here for the blizzard of '77. My first introduction to snow over 3 inches. It was supposed to be for 3 years. 3 years later, I was in love with my town. My son had friends. I had friends. I started working for the West Seneca School District. From there, I started attending town board meetings back then, which were very vague. You had no idea what went on, no one spoke with you. So I went back to just going to work, and a few years later was recruited by Mrs. Lillis to be on one of the town boards. And from there I just, and I'm running out of words here, from there I went back to work, and so 10 years ago I started coming to all town board meetings, planning board, zoning board. I sat on the ethics board, and I took a lot of notes, asked a lot of questions, and I realized that if you wanted to change government, you had to actually be part of government. They're not very responsive otherwise, so. And that's what brought me here, and Gary talked me into it, I think. So.
And you can go to the minutes of all the town board meetings and are online, going way back, and you can look at a lot of minutes, and you can find Sue Kim's asking questions. Now they're streaming the meetings, and you can watch them, and often the major speaker, like today at the meeting today, is Sue Kim's asking questions that sometimes they don't really want to answer. And Sue didn't do it all by herself. She was part of a really strong group of people, but she's continued it, and it's a lot of the progress that's been made for good government in town has happened because of the efforts of citizens like Sue and Sue herself and Jeff and me in my small way. So it proves that citizen activism works. But after a while, like Sue said, you just beat your head against the wall so many times, you gotta
Well,
say,
there was a point where if you can't change their minds, you gotta change one of them, is the old saying.
right, very
Or
good.
all of them.
Yep. So I guess we have some questions that were given ahead of time.
Actually, Brendan did chime in.
Okay.
And
It's complete.
he's got a question for Jeff, which was, how many pairs of shoes have you worn through since becoming politically active?
Maybe 3.
And he asked Sue,
Even more.
he asked Sue, has anyone attended more board meetings than you, board members included?
Well, I think maybe the group of ladies that I joined when I started coming to the meetings, they have been in it for many years before I joined the group. So I'm not alone there. But I definitely have a good 10, 12 years in there.
We also have a question from Cheryl. What do you think will be your biggest challenges facing the town board if you are elected?
I'd say if you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
I think the financial. I mean, right now the town has drained down their cash on hand. They've driven our debt through the roof. Obviously, the library project did not help that. And I think getting the fiscal house in order will be a bit of a challenge. I think it's something we can tackle, but if we have to start taking steps to do so.
Yeah, I think the finances are going to be. We already know that we're in trouble. I mean, you had the debt downgrade last year by Moody's, which is outside evidence of that. And we'll see. There's a lot of risk that the town has, and often we don't know what the bill is going to be. For example, healthcare or workman's comp or something like that. Or even as there was articles recently about the price of salt. I mean, last season we spent almost $500,000 on salt. So if the county, if the price goes up and it's not really anything we can control too much, then that's a hit. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and we'll have to look at it. But I wanted to say that, Sue mentioned, she joined a group of women. I mean, I think of anybody, of any group that should have a plaque dedicated, thanking them for their efforts for the town, it should be the group of the people that Sue joined and Sue herself. They should have a plaque in their name because they've really done a lot of good for the town government.
There won't be a lot of room for saving when it comes to next year. We're already bonded. Our bonded debt is very high. Of course, expenses will go up, salaries go up, benefits go up, and any unforeseen things that might take place. We could have another flood, we could have another major snow. But there are small areas where you can start working on saving your money.
And it's important to remember that the budget for next year is actually being prepared by the current supervisor right now. And that will be passed in November. So there'll be a budget meeting in October, and then it'll be passed probably in November. So the first year's budget will be set by the current supervisor. We could make some changes, but I mean, it's really going to be the budget that we do in the end of 2020, that's going to be our budget. Any other?
Yeah, actually, Michael, he's asking if there's been any word from Jim Lawson on the issue of a debate.
There has been, and I will address that separately later on. Not today. I don't think it's. I don't want to take any more time from my colleagues.
Okay, another question is, what do you think should be done regarding sewers?
They leave that okay.
That's one of Sue's favorite topics. So I'll let her.
With the sewers, we're presently under a consent order. As of today, the town board has a new consent order that's sitting in front of them waiting for their signature. They should have it signed by the end of the month. We don't know what's in that consent order. So until we know that, that really dictates the work that needs to be addressed first. And so you really don't have a lot of leeway there. So you wait to read it, and hopefully it's in our favor this time. So
we go around, and in the primary and right now we were going around and we're talking to a lot of residents, and it is just heartbreaking, the stories that we hear from people that when it rains in the past or even now, they get diluted sewage backing up into their basements. That is unacceptable. I mean, this is America. This stuff shouldn't happen. We're going to work very hard to fix that, and it's just outrageous. And if that's happening to you, you can be sure that it's going to be a top priority, because unfortunately, Sue has the same experience on Covington.
So what we do have under the present consent order is every basement needs to be inspected in the town. We the residents deserve to know where the town is with those inspections. We only have a few men in code enforcement, and this is taking up all of their time. So that is something that I think the town board should be more forward in coming and letting us know.
Well, what I plan to do is every month or maybe every 2 months, if you guys just get too much of it, is have a report online. What have we done that month, right? So there will be a line on there for sewers, and it will not come off. There will be a section on the Seneca Mall, and it will not come off. So every month or every other month, whichever, probably every month, I'm going to talk about what I, as supervisor, and then your government has done for the Seneca Mall site. It is never going to become something that we forget about. The sewers are never going to be anything that we forget about. We are always going to be constantly thinking about the problems that face the town.
I think on the sewers too, I agree with your points. Also, when it comes to future development, I think we have to take that into account. One thing I've heard from a lot of residents as I'm walking door to door is they'll talk about how they never had any problems until a new development went in. And sometimes maybe we didn't think everything through on how the runoff was affecting them. Mm-hmm. So I think we need development to grow, but we do got to be smart and sometimes take into consideration existing neighborhoods as well.
Yeah.
Well, with the sewers though, we for so many years have neglected doing any work.
Correct, and previous boards did drop the ball.
There is major work that needs to be done.
Correct.
And unfortunately the tax burden falls on each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few times I'll actually agree with the current board's complaint.
And if you look at your tax bill, you'll probably notice, like mine and like ours, that you pay more for the sewers than you do for the highway department.
We got a question from Michael. Autocorrect was we had to do a little translating here. Will you do anything about a total town reassess to spread taxes out evenly?
It's something that's unfortunately had to be done here at some point. I believe the last one was done in 1986, which was before I was even born, to put that in perspective. It's obviously costly to do, and there are winners and losers, but at a certain point you will have to update it. How we go about paying for it, how do we spread it out over the years, something we're going to have to look at if we get elected.
If it's true, which I've heard that it costs $1 million to do a total town reassessment, then that is not something we're going to be doing anytime soon, unless we get a grant to pay for it. That we don't have the money, and there's just going to be other priorities to spend it on. But if we got a grant, then yeah, I would do it.
And the individual residents are able to each year go in front of a board and contest their assessments if they feel that it's not sufficient or if it's too much. But until we would have the money to do the total town, that's about the only.
Maybe be able to spread it out over a few years too might be another option to consider too.
Yeah, I mean it's something
I might
that
do it as well.
it is an aspect as a piece of it's fairness. It's fairness that we should have accurate. It's just we got to be able to afford it. That's all.
Okay. Ralph is asking Gary, why do you want to be supervisor? Please be specific.
I want to be supervisor because I'm outraged at the way we're treated. So I started coming to the town board meetings, coming for a couple of years, asking questions. My first big issue was the ethics board. We had an ethics board on paper, but it didn't exist. It started in 2000. It was supposed to start in 2009. Wasn't staffed in 2014. Ended at the end of 2015, and was unstaffed and had no action. To me, I can think of nothing worse to reflect on the ethics of a town than to say you have an ethics board that there's nobody on it. It's crazy. From there, I was working on the $5 million bond that they asked for in the beginning of 2018 for the library, the community center, for other issues with the town. And then with the upsizing also. So to be specific, it was to see the way we were treated, how little our voices had, how little input we had. Stories from a lot of people I talked to who were not satisfied with the way the town was going, but didn't feel that they could change anything. So. I thought, okay, well, almost everybody in the town can see what's wrong. And you don't have to be an outsider to see what's wrong. I mean, everybody I talk to almost says, is upset with the way things are going in the town. So I said, well, who's gonna run? So, look around. Who's gonna oppose, the current regime or the current, groups that have been in power and that have taken advantage of this town for decades. And I didn't see anybody. So as an FBI agent, it's kind of in my nature, retired FBI agent, it's kind of in my nature that if I see a problem, I want to fix it. And no one else was stepping up. So I said, well, it's time to put my money where my mouth is. It's the same thing with the upsizing. We said, this is a problem, let's fix it. Sewers, it's a problem. Let's try to fix it. Seneca Mall, all these issues, we're gonna do our best to fix. We're not gonna put them off. We're not gonna wait. We're not gonna say, oh, it's always been like this, so it's never gonna change. No, we're gonna fix it.
Okay. Debbie is asking, can you share with us your vision for the town? It's kind of a broad question.
I'll go with it. My vision would be for the town government would be that it runs effectively, efficiently, and it works to include everybody. And when I say that, I mean on business matters, let's consult more with the Chamber of Commerce. When it comes to service matters, let's consult more let's get them involved. Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club, Women's Club. We have a lot of great service organizations. Let's bring everyone to the table and let's look for ways we can constructively solve things and also make our environment, or I should say our business environment, a little bit more friendly to do business in by trying to overhaul our town code, both business-wise and also trying to keep the lid on taxes.
Jeff, you kind of covered
Cover.
most of that.
Sorry.
Well, we do need to look at the infrastructure. We need roads to be redone in some cases, and we also need to bring our residents in more and participating with the government.
Sure.
So, but you just about covered everything there. So,
My vision is that West Seneca will have a reputation in New York State as the best run and most ethical government in the state. And I'm not going to settle for anything else.
We got a question from Bill. It said, "This question for all. How much do you know, and where do you stand on the chicken coop rezoning issue being proposed by Burke Construction?"
Who wants that one?
I'll let you lead on that one.
I'm not real familiar.
I mean, I'm aware in general that there's a proposal to develop the chicken coop. So my kind of philosophy on the chicken on any development is that we need to encourage development in general in town, especially commercial development. That's why the Seneca Mall side, all these other undeveloped properties. Commercial development is good for the town, and we should encourage it. Individual projects should be encouraged, but they have to be within the zoning, and they have to be right for that community. So we'll see. There's a process. They go through it. I mean, we need to look at water. We need to look at traffic. Sewers, absolutely sewers. I don't think that residential housing. I don't think we should chop down every piece of green space in West Seneca and put up housing. Not that anyone's proposing that. I'm just saying, because residential space is often closer to where we live, it needs to be looked at a little bit harder.
Okay, got a question from Ralph. What are each of your qualifications for the office you're running for? Education, experience, etc.
I think we covered that a little bit earlier, but I'll mention it just again. I've been a lifelong resident. I've been involved in the community with Kiwanis, West Seneca Historical Society. I also have a strong business background. I've obviously taken some accounting courses and that, and I've attended meetings regularly for several years. My personal view is I think I can get in there and kind of provide a new perspective. Also, a new generation of leadership too. Just as you look around that room in the boardroom, it's kind of a little bit up there in gray hairs. But
You want to go?
Well, most of my background is in insurance, but I've also been the treasurer of my husband and his brother own a business. I've been the treasurer for about 30 years now. I worked for the school district as a teacher aide. I'm licensed insurance agent and then licensed insurance broker. And from there, my career turned out to be, after I was retired, attending meetings and getting to know my town. So that's consumed about the past 10 years.
So pretty much ever since high school, I've been in public service. So when I was 19, I joined the Army. I was in the Army for 6 years, and re-enlisted once, left as a E6 staff sergeant. Then I finished college, and I became an FBI agent in 1987. For the next 27 years, I was an FBI agent. I was in New Jersey for 11 years, working all sorts of crimes. I was overseas. I was at headquarters, managing counterterrorism investigations. I was then back overseas, and then back at headquarters, running our offices in Eastern Europe and in Central Asia. I have managed, $1 million budgets. I've managed large groups of people, but I think the most important thing is my and our, frankly, ethical standing, ethical kind of base, our foundation. Because you can know a lot of stuff, but if you don't do the right thing, then it doesn't matter. So, from my service experience, from my, being in law enforcement, I insist that everything is done properly and openly. This is your government. You deserve to know what's going on. There shouldn't be any secrets other than certain limited legal or personal information. You have a right to know what's going on, and if we are in, then you will know what's going on, or if you don't know, ask us and we'll tell you.
Good segue. What's your take regarding transparency in town government?
It's the most important. It's very, very important. That's the basis for citizen confidence in their government. So we will be as open and as transparent as possible. Like I said, I'll do a monthly report to you guys. We will put much more data online, but I know we're running out of time, so I don't want to take it from you guys.
So as far as being transparent, I think that we need to involve our citizens more. We presently put people on committees and on boards, and I think that they should be allowed to apply for them. They should be advertised online. That the residents should be able to apply and be placed that way instead of just being someone's pick. I think that all information, as Gary said, should be available online. A resident shouldn't have to go looking for an answer and waiting for someone to get back maybe 2-3 days, maybe 2-3 weeks later. So.
I mean, I think with transparency, I think we all pretty much agree that's an important issue. We actually all kind of spoke out in favor of live streaming. It's one of the things we actually did get the current board to listen to us on. I do want to take it a little bit step further. We have our board meetings with the issues of the public at the end of the meeting. I'd like to move that to a full-blown session at the beginning and one at the end. That way someone has an issue and they don't have to wait for the whole meeting to address it. I know some meetings are short, but there are some that are very lengthy. Someone should have to wait. They should come first. I also want to see on those live streams, like we're doing now, could we take questions as a board? I think there's a way you could do that. Maybe designate a time for people that maybe aren't able to attend the meeting or have physical difficulty getting to the meetings.
And I'll actually give a shout out to my local fire district, Reserve. I go to the monthly meetings of the commission, and I am very impressed about how open their discussion is. I wish our town board had actual discussions, because if you go to our town board meeting, they don't really discuss things very much. There's a lot of votes, and maybe they'll say a few things, but you don't get you get the impression that a lot of stuff's been solved afterwards. So if we all get on, you will probably find that the town board meetings will go longer, because we'll actually be discussing things.
I'd like to see the work sessions move to the evening, because far too often they say something was discussed at a work session. Yeah. A lot of us that are working during the daytime, which is most of the town, working age, and they can't make it to that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see those move to 6 and have the board meetings at 7. Follow them right up, back to back.
Well, even today we had the 3 o'clock town board meeting.
Just how many people are there, roughly?
We probably had a good 20-some.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty
That's
good.
better than one of them I went to before.
We had 2 public hearings that if more residents were able to attend, that they could have participated and given their opinions. So.
We got about 2 minutes. We want to do a quick question?
Quick question. What's your position on term limits?
I think they're absolutely essential at all levels of government. To me, politicians work just like diapers. If you don't change them out regularly, they turn to total crap. So I think you need a regular turnover of new ideas and new perspectives, and too often incumbents have way too much advantages in that department.
Yeah.
Both money and name recognition.
Agreed.
I think 2 terms would be more than sufficient.
I believe 2,
Yes.
yeah, 2 at what the town
And
level.
we can talk about
positions.
that. Maybe 3, but I mean certainly it's it's a democracy, and
Sure.
we'll have term limits, and what they will be.
And the current board may be less than 8, but we've had people win as many as 5 or 6 terms in town offices here in our lifetime.
Right. Well, good. This was really good. I thank you. We will have another one at a time to be announced, and I really appreciate talking with you guys, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.